Welcome
damn.
everyone to the SMT podcast. Tonight, you got your boy, the myth, the legend himself, SneedMobile Tech, hosting the show, as well as Tech Jesus to bless this holy show. We're going to be talking about some awesome topics, including the Google Pixel 7, as well as the new Pixel Watch, iPhone 14 Pro after a month, and probably some unholy topics that will need some holy water to cleanse them as carriers battle uh, for the older demographic in the United States, and I'm sure that will be nice and spicy.
Oh,
But
yeah.
but with that being said, Sneed, I'm going to ask you the age-old question that always gets asked on my show, which is, how you doing today?
Excellent. How are you, good sir?
Doing excellent as well. Got the new PC built and running as it should, so I'm enjoying that.
All right, let's talk about that, Dennis. Can we usher in? We have a moose sighting. Can we get that moose going, please?
Oh, yes. Sorry. Didn't realize.
We got the original.
On deck, dog. They were on deck.
Damn.
Not
What
just
up,
round
Moose?
one, but also round two right now.
Round deuce. That's right.
By the way, the amount of C-band in Southern California in just 2.5 months since I haven't been here.
We got a moose breaking up here.
Yeah, he was breaking up bad. There was also a
Really?
little bit of like, yes. There's also a little bit of like static coming from someone.
Let's see here.
Oh, we got a bearded dragon sighting.
Yeah, we sure do.
What's up,
Ahoy.
Pete?
Ahoy. Go.
Yeah, Pete, running the AMD CPU. I know that makes you happy.
Does it make you happy? That's what
So far so good. There's some games that need to be optimized as I talk to you behind the scenes. They're not playing nicely with the 7950X, but that's a Windows AMD problem that I'm sure we fix with either a BIOS update or a driver
What did you
update. What's up?
Did you get the 4090? Or what did you get for?
I haven't bought the GPU yet, so I'm rocking the 7950X.
Oh,
7950X, 16 cores, 32 threads. I'm using my old 3080 Ti. Well, I say old, but old 3080 Ti.
that's not even old, man. Yeah.
30.
Dude, that graphics card has whiskers. Get your 4090.
Yes, I'm using the 3080 Ti, 64 gigs of DDR5 RAM, 6,000 megahertz rated speed, and then it's a 30 CAS latency. Many terabytes of nothing but solid state storage. And yeah, we're cooking. We're cooking with gas.
90 something % of his cost went into the storage.
I wouldn't go that far, but I would say about 2,800 of the build was towards storage.
Yeah, and your $800 hard drives.
I didn't buy any hard drives. There's no hard drives in this thing. It's all solid states.
Hey, a solid state's still a hard drive.
Not technically, but
It's storage, isn't it? Damn.
well, hard drive stands for hard disk drive, which implies that there's a spinning disk on a platter. Solid state
Well,
drive.
Doxus, hold on a second. When I started computing, we had tape.
That's right.
And tape still exists on the enterprise level.
Are you talking about a floppy disk?
No, he's talking about like actual tape. Like the kind that's like
For a
Oh,
floppy disk,
before
man.
the
You're
flop.
talking about like 1995, dog.
Yeah, that was
Oh,
like
before.
5 years after I started computing. Those became mainstream.
Pete was computing at the age of 7.
2.
you know what's been most great is the new monitor. I finally got less lazy and cleaned off my desk to put one of the monitors up, which is this 27-inch 1440p 240 hertz MSI display, and it's an IPS panel, so it's my first IPS monitor that I've used, and the colors are so much better on an IPS panel than a TN panel for anyone that has never looked at one. So this is really nice. And I scale it to 125%, so I'm not hurting my eyes with really tiny icons. Anywho, let's move on to actual topics. Moose, you were bringing up AT&T news. I know that's what gets you going and gets you revved up. Tell the fine folks why you're so excited. What's going on with AT&T? We kind of covered it on the best phone plans, but if it's the same thing, it's cool.
Well, actually, I'm actually what T-Mobile is not doing. Right? By the way, did you guys hear the static?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
I hear the static. I think it's coming from Sneed's mic, to be honest. I don't know. Let's do a quick test. No, it's coming from Moose. Okay. Sorry, Moose. That was a quick test. It's coming from you.
I have no idea. I mean, I'm just using my phone. But really quick, tell me about what is not happening at T-Mobile.
What's not happening? I don't know. Steve was excited. He was doing a part 1, part 2 announcement. So I don't know what.
Yeah, elaborate, Moose. Go ahead.
Sorry about that. I was washing my hands. So, you're talking about the AT&T news?
Bro, Moose, are you using freaking T-Mobile Home Internet or something right now, man?
No,
there is such
dude,
a delay.
I'm using damn Spectrum Internet. It's 3.1. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Moose, turn Moose, turn that crap off and throw in a T-Mobile hotspot.
All right. Hi again, Moose.
Oh my god.
Let's try again.
I wonder if Moose is either, I don't know if he's on like Safari with his iOS device or if he's on a Android-based device. I think the last time he did Restream, he used either the Pixel or the Ultra, the Samsung, and it worked pretty good. Get off the iPhone, Moose. All right, let's try him again.
The only issues I've ever had doing Restream on a Pixel is not being able to figure out my Bluetooth.
Is that better this time?
Yeah, go on, Moose. Okay. Elaborate on your T-Mobile or AT&T thing. Right.
Yeah. So I was telling Sneed there in just 1 month, right? September. In SoCal, there was a C-band added. Dude, that is huge. In just 1 month. Like, we're talking basically widespread availability. Came back today for the first time near an airport. Local. I'm seeing the 5G Plus. I'm seeing it in more places. I'm very impressed. I'm not gonna lie to you guys, right? It's good to see it.
Maybe you could describe a little bit about the range, the speeds. You know, what are you seeing in terms of the experience?
Well, as you know, right, in any, well, actually, it doesn't have the same site density as T-Mobile, right, where it's like every 0.75 of a 0.25 of a mile they have another cell site.
Wow.
That's because Sprint, cell sites, right?
Mm-hmm.
Along with T-Mobile cell sites.
How's their market share over there, Moose?
Oh, dude. T-Mobile is number 1 here in SoCal, man. It's all, no joke. The demographics
is it like not even close?
Yeah, it's not even close. Not even close. Be losing their second place position by June of next year because we was reading the numbers, right? And again, another huge drop wide and locally. It was pretty not unsurprising, right? We're not surprised anymore by that. But what was
Moose,
surprising? Yeah.
Moose, are we able to get you on a cellular connection if the Wi-Fi isn't very good? Yeah, let's see if we can get him back in here. Just because he keeps cutting out, I don't want the listeners to.
Is that better?
Go on.
Right, is that we have a cell booster here, right? Simply because we need it. But it's the same spectrum. Charter spectrum. Fix it if it's a cellular connection or a Wi-Fi connection.
Yeah, we're having trouble with the audio, Moose. It keeps cutting out. I don't know if it's even your connection. I mean, do you have a different device? Maybe we could try.
What are you using? Are you using your PC right now, Moose, or a phone?
No, dude. It's the iPhone. When I told you an issue, right? That's why I wanted StreamYard. StreamYard doesn't have the same issue, but it's okay.
Well, the last time you used the Android and it was good. I didn't know you were going back to iOS for tonight.
Well, I know I didn't bring them.
Better question: do you have a laptop? A thing that's not a phone, preferably.
Yeah, dude. If you can get on a laptop, that would be sweet.
All right. Well, while we wait for Moose to come back, why don't we switch to a different topic? Sneed, I know you had some thoughts about the iPhone 14 after about a month of use.
No, 1 week.
Or 1 week of use, excuse me.
1 week, yeah.
Why don't
I don't want to mislead anybody, and they think I've had it for longer than I've had it.
Why don't you get into that? Because I'd love to hear your thoughts. Because I know you've been pretty down, not down, but pretty somber with iPhone release.
All right, man. So when it comes to iOS, right? My preference is Android. Always has been. Probably always will be. iOS is fine. I don't really find it to be problematic. In my experience, it's pretty solid. It's just preference, right? Like I simply look at iOS as my least favorite layout, my least favorite OS. Apple is one of my least favorite companies in and of itself, right? So like how they do things and the way that they execute stuff, I'm just not a fan. All right, so that being said, I tried to be objective. I started using the iPhones back in the 12 generation. So I had a 12, I had a 12 Pro. And then I got the 13 Pro and the 13 Pro Max. So I've been using them for, a few generations now because they went back to Qualcomm for the modem technology. All right. So, thanks, Franco. Appreciate the super chat.
Yeah.
Buddy.
Hold up. Sneed. Franco is Stop Barking is now a member. And did you catch his super chat, what he said?
Yeah, he said, oh, he just retracted it. No.
But Cox Communication is trash. Why did you retract it?
Yeah, you're not wrong, buddy. So welcome to the members community, Franco. Appreciate you, man. And thank you for the dono. I don't know if we missed any other super chats yet, but kind of like as I'm going on this like monologue here. So I've been using iPhones for a few generations now. This will be the third consecutive generation. I never really considered them because I always saw that the Wi-Fi radios, the Wi-Fi experience, the cellular connectivity, they were always felt like they were just not as good as the Android counterparts. So I've always loved like the Motos. I've always loved the Google phones. Even before that, the Nexus line. I used LG's, the V series back in the day. I had a Huawei. Dennis, you got the glory of that phone. You know what I'm talking about. So like I've always, an HTC, these great devices that had awesome cellular and had really good Wi-Fi too, right? So like all over the home and wherever I was, needed signal, I was able to get it. And it was always superior to the iPhone. And then, so iPhone started to use Qualcomm. So I was like, all right, man, let me get back in here and start testing and using this stuff. And I'll be honest with you guys. I'm reluctant to properly, be happy with an iPhone because I've always felt like they're a very expensive premium product that doesn't really give you a full premium experience when it comes to like cellular connectivity. But now with Qualcomm, it kind of gets them in there. All right, now, all that to say this. The iPhone 14 Pro Max is an absolute beast of a device. It has so many really, really strong strengths. Like what it's good at, it's really good at. And I haven't really found many weaknesses. The hard part was getting back on a device that is massive, right? Because like I've been using, Google phones that are large but not massive. I was using the S22 for a few weeks before I got my iPhone 14 Pro Max. So I was kind of getting used to that, which is really nice and refreshing after a while, man. You use big phones, you go back to like something that's normal sized, and it feels like a mini. So that's kind of been refreshing. And I talked about that a little bit on Patreon, the S22. But Dennis, the iPhone 14 Pro Max is a beast of a device, dog. I mean, can I just go through some of the strengths and then, we can kind of highlight some of these things?
Take it away.
Okay. Battery life champion. Whatever special sauce the iOS, the Apple, the integration of what they do, with all that connectivity with the ecosystem, and the devices and the optimization, tuning apps developers work. It's just so good. Like, I can charge this phone every 2 days because I have other devices that I use simultaneously. But if I had to use it as my primary, this phone is making it through a full day with the SMT, which is crazy. That's hard to do if I have a single phone for a phone to make it out of 1 day. This phone can do that. It is so good when it comes to battery life. Cellular is decent. It needs an update. All right, so that is not a strength currently, but I'm not here to evaluate the cellular as a final evaluation. I'm going to give it some time. I'm sure there's going to be some firmware updates that are coming. They'll get it right. The mmWave isn't performing as good as the 13 generation did, so I'm guessing just there's going to be some updates for that. But I've been testing it and it's okay. It's decent. Expect updates. The display is amazing, man. The display is huge. It is freaking bright. The resolution and clarity is A1. It is absolutely choice. Probably the nicest thing about the device, because you interact with it so much, it's the display. It's very, very enjoyable. I'm starting to get used to that whole like dynamic island thing at the top. They've kind of integrated into the iPhone Pro experience. So it's not just this weird little spot thing at the top. It's actually like they turned it into a feature. Like, so they have integrated like usage for that space. Like, it increases in size and then it puts up waveforms and you can kind of like look at what's going on within your calls and your FaceTime and all this. They actually put some thought into it. They actually developed it as a feature, which is interesting. I thought I was going to hate it. I thought it was going to be horrible and atrocious. Now, from an engineering standpoint, obviously they like couldn't get rid of that spot. They had to do something for cameras and sensors and Face ID and all that. But they did the best they could with the situation at hand. So, battery life, strength, the dynamic island is better than I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be a train wreck. It's actually tolerable. The video playback is really nice. The audio is really good. The speakers, like music playing and stuff like that, is fine. The syncing with AirPods is still, A+, very convenient, quick, easy, stays connected, that sort of thing. It's been really good. I'm shocked. Zero Cool, take care of yourself, man. Thanks for coming by tonight. I'm shocked how much I've enjoyed the iPhone 14 Pro Max. And I know the Bearded Dragon might have an iPhone, but it's not a 14 generation. And Dennis, I don't know if you got yours yet and you started using it, but this is a solid device, man. It is a good phone.
My brother got that one. I'm not touching that stuff.
No, you told me your brother got the 13.
Yeah, Sneed said there was one that showed up and it wasn't a 14.
Oh, gotcha. Anyway, but Sneed, I've had my Pro Max now for a minute. It's okay. I actually disagree with you about the battery life claim, though. I think the battery life is significantly worse than the 13 Pro Max from my day-to-day use experience. Also, on the topic of performance, like overall performance, the phone gets hot. It gets really hot compared to my 13 Pro Max.
Dennis, when I was doing FaceTime, it did get hot.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. I did. I mean, I've only used it a few times, and the one call that went beyond like 5 or 10 minutes. Yeah, it did get hot.
And then cellular connectivity.
Were you on AT&T for that FaceTime call?
Verizon.
Should try it with AT&T, see if it gets hot.
And then cellular connectivity wise, I don't know, man. I feel like this generation of modems just was weird for like everything, right? Like on paper, it was supposed to be better, but like the software and firmware decisions that like companies like Samsung made with like disconnecting from UW to save battery, and I don't know what iPhone is doing. I just feel like the connectivity is actually worse than my 13 Pro Max. It seems like I think it's just a software thing, probably, like you said, but like these decisions are affecting performance in favor of battery life, which is understandable, I guess, but like I don't know. I see my 14 Pro Max definitely preferring to stay on DSS more often, or LTE, versus my 13 Pro Max in the same locations.
Yeah, I think there's some updates coming, Dennis. They'll probably address the cellular issue. I think they'll probably address the battery issue that you're talking about. I'm not seeing the battery drain, but I did sense the heat with the same app usage. So there might be some tuning they got to do, some adjusting to that particular application possibly. I'm trying to think if there's... Oh, okay. Yeah, I'll do that, Dennis. I got you. Wait, turn on or off?
On.
The echo cancellation?
Noise suppression.
All right, there you go. It's on now.
Cool.
Is that better?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't know what stuff to use anymore. Sometimes off, sometimes on. I don't know. All right, cool. So I think updates are coming. I actually this allows me to kind of pivot a little bit to the Pixel, which I've only had for like 2 days.
Before you pivot, I wanted to ask, because I almost forgot. You were commenting about how impressed you were with the display.
Oh, I love the display, Dennis.
I wanted to ask you, do you think this display puts them on par with Samsung, or even better than Samsung?
No. Samsung's still the GOAT, man. The S22 display is the best. Every year I get a Galaxy, it never fails to impress me. Whether it's the Note, they don't make the Note anymore, so I'm assuming the S22 Ultra. Before that, it was the Notes. The best displays are always going to be on the Galaxies. Even though Samsung's probably the manufacturer of the display on the iPhone, which I think it is, right?
Yes.
Okay, so if they're still giving them great panels. There's just something special going on with Samsung with those mobile handset displays. They just got the best, man. So iPhone, it gets a great display. I still think the S22 has a better display.
I mean, let me ask you something else, because you didn't really touch on this. Have you had a chance to test the camera out at all?
Yes. I want to talk about the photography. I haven't done much with video recording yet. I'm going to do that this weekend. The photography improvement from the 13 to the 14, 13 Pro to 14 Pro, is astronomical. It's a huge leap. It's way better. Like, I took a picture of the same flower, and I would say that the 14 Pro Max, whatever they did with the software, the lenses, the sensors, I should say, whatever they did, perfect. The photo was vibrant. The photo was real. And then the objects in focus, perfect. Almost as good as the Pixel photography. Very, very close. I took similar photos with the 7 Pro, the Google Pixel 7 Pro. I still think those are a little bit better. There's certain things that I think that the software is what really makes some of the photography stuff special. So, like, it's one thing, you got to have sensors, but it seems like just as important as the sensors is the software. So Apple definitely did some things with their photography for this generation where it's like way better. Actually, to be totally transparent with you guys, I didn't even like the 13 Pro camera. I didn't really like the 12 camera.
Hey, Sneed.
So
Yeah.
Carlos and I were out and about a couple weeks ago, some parts of Vegas, rural areas, not much the city. We started playing with the cameras. We found the 6 Pro's night sight was better than the 14 Pro Max's, simply because the 14 Pro Max liked adding camera bloom.
So that made the shots turn out worse?
Yeah, nowhere near as good.
So I'm noticing a trend here, Sneed, with your preferences on both displays and images. You prefer higher color saturation. That is what makes you think the image looks better. Because when you talk about the display, Samsung's magic
Hey,
sauce, the magic sauce is
Dennis, I agree with Sneed on that.
Yeah, but I pulled the images for the 14 Pro. I put them on my desktop. I put them on the TV. I looked at them on different displays. So, I did that much at least, because I knew I wanted to look at the nuance. So I wanted to blow it up and I look at some edges and stuff like that. So I did do a little bit of real digging on it. I would say that from generation to generation, this is by far the biggest camera improvement Apple's ever made. From the 13 Pro to the 14 Pro, this camera is legitimate. It now competes with the Pixel and the Galaxy, which last year I put the Pixel number one for photography. I put the Galaxy in a close second, and I had an iPhone way back at 3, not even close. This 14 Pro Max, it is right there with the Pixel and the Galaxy for photography. It is right there.
Can I say something that I know you're not gonna? There's no way that you can sanely disagree with me on.
Mm-hmm.
The iPhone 14 Pro Max has the best front-facing camera, better than the Pixel.
Probably true. Yeah. Yeah, that's true. We should probably make sure we distinguish this. I was talking about like rear camera stuff. The selfie camera, I actually think usually the iPhone has the best one. Some years I think it's the Galaxy. I think you're right though about the 14 Pro.
Yeah.
I was using it today. It was pretty good. Pretty good.
But that leans nicely into what you want to talk about, the Pixel.
Hey, Lavendi, good to see you, man. Yeah, so the Pixel 7 Pro I've had for 2 days, day and a half, I don't know.
Hey, Sneed, if Google is listening, guys, seriously, stop deleting my phone.
Google's always listening, but they don't necessarily always care.
Yeah. Yeah, so they sent me the Pixel 7 Pro, folks. I have done some videos on it. I did the unboxing, my first impressions, and I did a little bit of a battery update video recently. Let's see, we got the Pixel Watch. I got the matching Pixel setup. So the Pixel 7 Pro in snow, and then the Pixel Watch in with like the white band. They sent it over to me. By the way, guys, I have to, just because of the FTC situation, hashtag gift from Google. All right, I didn't pay for the devices; they sent them to me. But again, I still am here to evaluate that device and try to offer objective commentary on my experiences with it. So it is by far the best Pixel we've ever had. It is also flawed. It is not perfect. I've been using it for a day and I've already found some things that have to get fixed. There are some cellular things about it that are inconsistent. I am using it with Verizon, so quite often I'm connected to 5G Ultrawide and the DSS 5G and LTE, and the experience is fine, but it clearly needs an update to fix some of the RF related issues. It's falling victim to the same things that the 6 Pro did at launch, where it's going to need an update or two. I do expect that to come, so it's probably going to get better, just like the 6 Pro did. Hopefully the Android 13 issues are fixed. Remember, that was the problem going from 12 to 13.
Hold on. You got some rose-tinted glasses for the Pixel 6, man. It went update, got better. Update, worse, update, worse, update, worse, update, got better. Like, Google's had a very bad track record right now when it comes to actually supporting their phone from a software.
Who told you that's what happened?
I've had
the phone since launch, Dennis. That's not how it went for me.
Every single reviewer on YouTube, like the big ones, as well as the subreddit for.
Hey, you're calling Sneed a little reviewer?
Well, it's just, Sneed's not going to be upset. That's an objective thing.
No, but so Dennis, to kind of pick that apart a little bit, the Pixel 6 Pro probably got 5 crucial updates. Like, each time it got that update, it made the phone better because it needed it to get fixed. there were 2 updates. One of them was the OS update, and it almost bricked the phone. That was the fatal flaw, and that's probably what caused a lot of people to return the phone. That would have been the low light of that device. And that was a complete botchery of the operating system, which is crazy because Galaxy phones actually took on that OS update just fine. Google dropped the ball with that update, which is just, it's crazy to even like think about that, right? But I mean, I would not characterize that how you set it as a timeline like that. It's not really how it happened, but it did have a lot of updates. Some of the updates were affected and some weren't. That's actually kind of true. I just don't think it's good update, bad update, good update, bad update. It wasn't exactly like that.
It was like I said, it was good, bad, good. Like, so there was like a 3-month period of time where it was just nothing but bad updates.
Yeah, there was one update that never came to me. Maybe it was one of those bad ones you're talking about. There was one update I got completely skipped over.
They did pull a December update, and I missed it too, and I was kind of annoyed because they added some T-Mobile 5G features on that one.
Let's also not forget that when it comes to frequency support, the Pixel was having a good old bitch of a time with supporting AT&T C-band.
Yeah, that is fact. So I actually, I don't know if you remember my initial impressions when I first started testing the phone. I'm really not a supporter of the Pixel phone for AT&T. Whether it's the 7 Pro or in the past with the 6 Pro, AT&T, you really need an iPhone. I mean, if you got to have an Android and S22 or whatever the Galaxy devices are, folds, flips, whatever, if it's got to be Android. But I really don't like the Pixel experience with cellular connectivity coming from AT&T. I like it with Verizon. It seems pretty good with T-Mobile. I've been using the 6 Pro with a T-Mobile line. So far that's been okay. I don't really see any issues. But I don't know, man. I have the same RF issues in terms of the cellular with the iPhone 14 Pro Max as I do with the Pixel right now. They're falling victim to the same symptoms. Like the Pixel's going to need an update because it's inconsistent. Sometimes it's GOAT and then sometimes it's not. It's not good. The same thing with the iPhone. I was in a meeting last week at work and I was in like a far end of the building of the school that's like, I don't know, it's just death for signal. And the Pixel, like the Pixel 7 Pro, is holding on to band 2, and the iPhone was clinging on for dear life on band 13. So like there was clearly a difference in how the firmware wants to receive signal and which channels it prefers to connect to.
Well, here's what I'll say about the Pixel. The Pixel is a great phone if you want a fun phone to play around with, to enjoy vanilla Android or install custom ROMs on or whatever. The Pixel, however, is not a flagship phone and is not a great primary phone because it is so inconsistent, and it's been consistently inconsistent for a prolonged enough period of time that is the reputation that the Pixel phone has.
Yeah, man, there's probably other people that feel the same way. You know, I would say that the iPhones have been much more consistent. The iPhones have been much more stable. They've been more predictable. That is 100% fact. The Galaxies
I'm talking
about
Samsung too. Yeah.
Yeah, the Galaxies as well. I totally agree. But I will tell you, man, there's no value in an iPhone. There's no value in a Galaxy. Those are expensive phones, man.
I question that sentiment. Define value.
I can buy a Google Pixel 7 for $600 and do every single thing an iPhone 14 Pro Max can do.
So you're talking about raw cost, and no, you can't do everything an iPhone 14 Pro Max can do.
What can I do, Dennis?
So
can't make a FaceTime call, which is his favorite thing to do, right?
No, I don't know why you keep preaching on that, because I actually call Trish only. But
hey, you keep doing that because whenever you call me, you're like, "So, are you getting a Apple device so I can FaceTime?"
I never do I say that to you.
I'll record it next time and then pull it up.
Go ahead, Dennis.
Anyway,
go ahead.
Anyway, so going back to the topic of value can be defined in many ways, but if you're talking about the things that you can't do on a Google Pixel that you can do on an iPhone, everything that involves the Apple ecosystem, you cannot do
Yeah, but that's an Android to iOS issue. I'm kind of looking at this from
right. I was gonna get onto the hardware part now.
okay.
So you cannot play games on the phone as smoothly. Like there is a significant performance difference between the Pixel with gaming versus the iPhone with gaming.
What's
Dual SIM.
a good title to test that, Dennis? Because I typically don't game, but if I wanted to try it, what would you say is a good game to test?
Some of the popular ones would probably be things like Call of Duty Mobile.
Okay.
That's a really solid one, but PUBG Mobile is really good, and Fortnite Mobile. Those would be the big three, I'd say, because they're
All
pretty
right,
popular.
I'll try one, man. I really don't mobile game, but I want to see because I can download both. I can download the same game on the iPhone 14 Pro and then also do it on the Pixel 7 Pro.
Sneed,
but
you know what I like playing on my Pixel for games? Microsoft Solitaire Collection.
Oh God, Pete.
But if we're talking about videos and video editing on device with the different apps, the iPhone is significantly faster at exporting than the Pixel.
Hey Dennis,
go ahead.
When you export that on the iPhone, do you still have to put it over that USB 2 cable?
No.
You doing direct Wi-Fi?
Well, if you have a MacBook, you can just do cloud share, or you could just do it over to the iCloud and then pull it over onto another device. But
why can't I use my 40 gig USB-C cable?
But I'm talking about exporting just on device, so it's ready to upload for YouTube.
Hold up. Shout out to Green9227 with a $2 super chat saying, "Do you think all the flagship phones should have millimeter wave?" Yes,
I do agree. Yeah.
Continue, Dennis.
But look, if you're just saying it can do all the things, yeah, every phone. I could make the argument that the freaking $60 ZTE can do everything a Pixel could do. Why are you buying a Pixel?
No, don't go that far, Dennis. Come on, man.
But if we're talking,
Dennis, the ZTE can't do what was that? 5G connections.
Nope, there's a ZTE 5G cable phone. There's a and we're talking about it could do everything. Look.
Okay, so Dennis, let's do this. This is going to be let's do an inventory. I'm going to let you answer the questions, okay?
Okay.
All right. So cellular. What's the difference between the iPhone and the Pixel 7 Pro?
iPhone has support for all the Dish bands and can work on Dish's network, as well as has more international band support as well.
It's the same international bands, but the Dish is what is it? The N70, is that it?
N70, and there was one other. Carlos would know better, but
okay. So we got
don't forget about the satellite bands. Don't forget the satellite feature. If we're talking,
it does have satellite.
The Pixel 7 Pro.
Yeah,
it can do the whole
since last generation, I think.
Yep.
Okay. Anyway,
just hasn't had missing a little bit. Just hasn't had a satellite to connect to.
So we're missing a little bit on cellular. Okay, go on. Or let me ask you another one. Let's do the display. How much better is the iPhone? What do you want to do at the Pro? We'll just call it the 14 Pro. Mm-hmm. How much better is the 14 Pro display than the Google Pixel 7 Pro display? Because I have both, and I can look at both.
I would say 20%.
Sheesh. Okay.
That's fair. That's fair.
I have to respect your opinion there. All right, so you say it's 20% better. Okay. Battery life. The iPhone's better.
That's
how much do you think it's
better?
It's not that high, Dennis.
Bro, the Pixel dies after 5.5 hours of screen on time.
No, I've had it for 2 days. It doesn't. No. That's not true.
Dude, my 6 Pro lives longer than that.
I said 5.5 hours of screen on time. I specified.
Yeah, it's better than 5.5 hours.
My 6 Pro outlives that estimate.
Yeah, I put it through hell yesterday, and it had 30% by the end of the day. So, I would say that the iPhone probably would have been at 40 or 50. So I don't think it's that extreme. But yes, the iPhone has superior battery life. All right, next one. Camera. photography first.
Still shots, draw, video, iPhone,
right?
like 40% better.
Agree. Stabilization, stuff like that.
Audio.
Okay, audio. I like the Pixel.
Okay, so there's multiple facets to
I
audio.
say,
If we're
hold up. I say camera is based on what you're trying to get out of your shot.
So there's multiple facets to audio. If we're talking about input, like incoming audio from microphones, I give that to iPhone. If we're talking about speakers, I also give that to iPhone. If we're talking about call quality audio, though, specifically, and the reason why I'm specifying this one in particular is because there's some post-processing that occurs, I give that to Pixel on T-Mobile and Verizon, and I give it to iPhone on AT&T.
Oh, damn. Okay. You just made it pretty fancy, dude. A lot of nuance on that one. Okay. Charging speed.
Pixel.
Okay. What else should we include, Dennis? Should we start talking lifestyle
speed?
features? Storage?
Okay,
yeah,
storage.
You give it
goes
to the iPhone? Okay.
Yeah, they have larger capacity options available.
I agree.
And it's faster.
I agree. You're right there. Okay. RAM, does it matter? To me, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter because of how RAM management takes place on iOS versus Android, so that becomes a software debate.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. What are we forgetting, Dennis? Wireless charging? You notice?
iPhone's better for wireless charging.
Okay, we got to give
placement. I find that the placement of the coil for where it's positioned tends to actually stay connected better than where the Pixel has it.
All right, cool feature that the Pixel does that the iPhone doesn't. Reverse wireless charging is phenomenal. I've charged my wife's iPhone 10 times with my Pixel before.
So dude, I love doing that. It's like in a hotel, we only have one charger going. Pop one reverse charging.
People are talking about 2 phones. People are talking about trade-in value. Apple retains the trade-in value.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't really going there with evaluating the phone itself. That's more of like a
okay, but we could do lifestyle features. You said you wanted to do lifestyle features. Go ahead.
Yeah, do you want to do lifestyle features?
Sure.
Okay. Let's see here. Okay, so what are the best lifestyle features on the iPhone?
The health app and its integrations directly into different medical providers.
Okay.
So like I could if I owned an Apple Watch, I could have it record my heart rate and then submit that digitally to my doctors.
Okay. And if you don't have an Apple Watch,
then I can't do that feature.
Okay.
But
all right, so we're not going to.
So I could see that as a possibility with the Pixel Watch, due to some of the medical integration that only works on Pixel for Android.
Yeah, but we're trying to evaluate the phone itself. So
yeah,
well, you said lifestyle. You said lifestyle features. So I mentioned
he said you could take data from the watch and securely send it to a doctor. Pixel could probably do that if the software to do so was available.
Yeah, but we're talking about now in the present. Anyway, lifestyle features. You hit me, Sneed. You're the one asking. You're supposed to be the question man.
Well, I was asking because I don't use the Apple ecosystem. That's why I'm kind of counting on you.
Well, you could do focus mode. I like that you can
the driving.
Have like no. Like so, Apple and iOS 16 like did this thing where like I can have one screen that appears for my apps for when I'm like casual. I can have like a work mode where I have a different grid of apps and different notifications that are muted for like work.
Android has that in digital well-being.
That's true. Yeah.
Also, apparently this is a thing.
Oh, damn, that's cool. Yeah, as long as people have iPhones, that works.
But
yeah, it's a free accessory to your $1,200 phone.
But yeah, I don't know how to describe lifestyle features here really. Like I'm not sure. Like I need like a definition for what you're defining as lifestyle.
I'll just name some from Google and then see if you could pull anything up for Apple. Just like I said, Dennis, I don't know the Apple ecosystem as well. So Google has the assistant, which does everything. It'll answer your calls. Yeah, it'll answer your calls for you. It'll make reservations for you. It blocks all spam.
Hey,
I don't have to pay
Sneed.
for any features. I don't need it on my plan.
Hey, Sneed.
Yeah, Pete.
The Pixel spam protection is so good, I turned off T-Mobile's.
Exactly. Like, you don't have to have it on a plan or pay for it.
Have you made a seat reservation over the phone only using the assistant?
I have.
Ooh, that's amazing, isn't it?
It's really cool. The AI that went into that, Pete, is pretty phenomenal.
They understand my fake female phone assistant's voice better than mine.
Oh, God, man.
So, if we're talking about the voice assistant thing, I mean, there's not a one-to-one, but you can probably just say a combination of Siri and literally just using Google Voice, like Google's assistant. Like, the booking of appointments and stuff can be done. It's not Pixel exclusive anymore.
Yeah, but that's the Pixel feature. It started with them. It's on the phone. It's been there. Like, that's their thing, right? So that's their lifestyle feature. It was introduced on a Pixel, and it's been there. The spam blocking is phenomenal. The visual voicemail comes with the phone, right? I don't have to pay for it.
Okay, visual voicemail. Hold up, visual voicemail. Definitely better on iPhone, and hear me out on the why.
Okay.
A lot of the carriers do not. If you activate the Pixel on them, they will not give you the live transcribe. Like, it's like a special like provisioning code that doesn't get provisioned a lot of times with the normal visual voicemail, where it's always baked in for iPhone.
I'm kind of annoyed on my Google line to get any visual voicemail now requires the Spam Shield Premium.
Yeah, like T-Mobile's an example of that. Like, if you activate a Pixel on T-Mobile, you won't get the live transcribe and the visual voicemail. You'll get the old school shit.
Hey, it's also paywalled on T-Mobile on the iPhone too.
No, not visual voicemail for iPhone, because it's a different provisioning code for the line. iPhones always get the good one. Like, they're like Pete, you've seen on the Verizon side with how they do their backend. Like, you've seen it. Like, there is a iPhone voicemail provisioning, and then there's an everything else visual voicemail provisioning, and iPhone always gets the premium stuff.
So check this out, Dennis.
You also pay $400 more. So
yeah. So I wanted to talk about the pricing after we looked at a lot of those features. I just want to say that I think Dennis is pretty objective. I think he called pretty much everything straight down the line. I don't have any qualms with most of what he said for the Apple side. Pete did a nice job of filling in some of the gaps with the Pixel stuff. I think here's what it boils down to. I don't think the 500 gig version or the terabyte version of the 14 Pro Max is worth $1,500. Like, even just the base. Let's just talk base, right? So it's 128 gigs of storage. I think it should be $1,000. I don't think they should charge $1,099. That extra $100 is Apple tax. It's just not worth it. I think the Google Pixel 7 Pro is priced exactly what it's worth at $900. I think the iPhone is $100 more, or worth $100 more than the Pixel, but it's priced $200 more. So I think the iPhone 14 Pro Max is slightly overpriced. The 14 Pro should be $899. The Google Pixel should be $899 as well. I think it's priced fair. I think you're getting exactly what you're paying for. The Pixel 7, I think swings above its cost. It's worth more than $599 in my opinion.
So Sneed, I traded in a Pixel 5 for a 7. And the Pixel 5 trade-in with Google knocked the Pixel 7's price down all the way to $200.
Well, Pete, let me ask you this. How much is the 7 worth? How much is the 7 Pro worth in your estimation?
I'd probably, knock up the cost of the 7 and maybe knock down the Pro by $50.
So you like the Pro at $849 and you like the 7 at $699.
Yep.
Dennis, what do you say about the Pixel prices?
I think that the Pixel 7 Pro should be knocked down either. Okay, it can go one of two ways. Either they need to knock down the Pixel 7 Pro by $100 and just leave it as it is, basically, as far as that structuring goes, or they bump it up $100 to like what the 256 gig version is, make that the base storage, and then add some minor incremental improvements across the board to help flesh out their flagship. I'm using quotation marks, their flagship phone. And then the regular Pixel 7 comes up $100 again, so that they can flesh out some of the features, whether that be giving it a better panel, because like 90 hertz really, make it 120 hertz at this point. That's pretty standard, especially in the Android space.
What's the entry level iPhone 14 refresh rate?
60,
and they're charging $800 for that.
And there's a reason I don't own the regular iPhone 14.
So what's considered standard for a flagship? Does refresh rate even become a standard? Like, is there, like, to be a flagship, are you allowed to have a 60 hertz display?
I would say no.
So it's got to be a 90 or a 120 at least?
I would say 120 because, look, there is mid-ranger phones in the Android space that are able to do 120 hertz.
Yeah, but they have other stuff that's deficient, like the processor. Like, you're taking little shortcuts in other places.
I would rather have a worse performing processor for 120 hertz than having a freaking flagship processor and like 60 or 90 hertz, because the screen, as you said, Sneed, is the medium in which all interactions take place.
Yeah.
So I believe that the screen should be the best, literally the thing where you put the most amount of effort in getting right on the device, because if the screen's shit, then the rest of the phone feels like shit.
All right.
And then as far as storage goes, the reason why I want to see higher quality storage put in place is because the amount of chiplets that are used for like solid state storage, which is what smartphones use, affects performance as far as read and writes as well as endurance. And also applications are getting larger and video recording is getting larger. Like, I want more storage on my flagship phones. There's a reason why I have a 512 gig iPhone 14 Pro Max, and the 13 Pro Max is 512 gigs, and the Samsung phones are 512 gigs. I need the space. And I know a lot of everyday folks that are filling up 128 gig phones at this point. Like 128 has become the new 64. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I agree.
So like 256 seems to be a pretty good sweet spot, and is honestly where I feel like a lot of flagships are starting to move towards. When we like Samsung, when they did the launch, remember they did the free storage upgrade, right? Like, there's a reason behind that. Like, I feel like that is
so. Dennis, would you be surprised if I told you I've never had an issue with a phone if I only had let's see, 128 gigs of storage on it?
Wait, what? I'm sorry?
I've never had an issue where I was filling up 128 gigs of storage on my phone.
Yeah, but you don't really use your phone that much. Like,
what do you mean?
Like, the way you use your phone, P, is pretty like basic, like calls, texts. You don't do social media like at all, so that's like a thing. And you don't take a lot of pictures, really.
I do take a lot of pictures.
Not in comparison to people that I think of, including myself. You also don't do a lot of video on your phone. Video
I
recording.
do.
Again, not in comparison to the typical person that's using a lot of social media, or myself.
Pete, what are you recording, by the way? What's your resolution choice and your?
I do 4K recordings. Most of
30 FPS.
30 FPS. Most of it's national park landscapes.
So you do it in HDR also?
Yeah.
So those are massive files, bro. A 10-minute video of him hiking. I mean,
yeah, and they go right up to the Google Cloud, uncompressed.
And then he deletes them off device, right?
Yep.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is I've never had a issue with storage on my device. And that's also a common thing with iCloud. You upload it and remove it from the device.
Yeah, but there's a difference. Google gives you unlimited cloud storage on the Pixel, so you're doing that freely. iPhones and Samsungs don't, so people don't do that.
So you're saying I don't use my phone like others, but I'm literally just slamming it with 4K HDR videos for uploading.
We got a super chat, Pete. Hit it.
Yep. We got a super chat from Chanel 808 Lawrence. Says unbox the iPhone 14 Pro Max case, damn it.
I will be doing that tomorrow, sir. I will.
So,
I promise.
highlighting Carlos's comment. He
I
has
have two 1 TB 14 Pro Maxes, a 1 TB 13 Pro Max. All are almost full, have around. What do you put on your phones, Lowe's?
Everything. Absolutely everything. I mean, he's like me, dude. We're like the content creator when it comes to mobile recording. You know, Dennis, you record stuff. I mean, we chew up gigs of storage fast.
There's a reason that I have multiple NASs that are full at my house.
Yeah. All right, so here's my value. Here's my final evaluation after all this. The Google Pixel swings slightly above based on its price point. That was my argument for the value. The iPhone, you pay an Apple tax. It does everything you need it to. There are some incredible features like I love AirDrop. I think it's very effective. It's not that fast all the time, but it's very dependable and it works as it's designed to. All right, so there's like some really cool stuff. The iPhone 14 Pro Max is way better than I thought it was going to be. It's actually a legitimate upgrade from the 13 Pro Max. There's a lot to like about it. I want to see just a couple of updates come to the phone so that way like some of the things that Dennis talked about are fixed, and then it's perfect. But dude, no doubt, I mean, you have to think about the price. Like if somebody says, I'm going to spend $600 on a phone this year, they can't get a brand new iPhone.
I would tell them to get a Samsung.
But you get what I'm saying, Dennis? Like they can't get the iPhone. So like there's a place for the Pixel 7.
But they could
for
get
$600.
They could get an iPhone. They could get an iPhone 13.
Yeah, they're not getting this year's flagship.
Well, the 13's basically got the 14 specs, is why I said that.
I got you. But there's no value in buying a year-old phone when you're if we're comparing this year's flagships. You get what I'm saying? Look, I would tell a person who doesn't need the cutting edge tech, doesn't need the bleeding edge device, I would tell them the same thing, Dennis, just like you said. Right?
That's why I got the 13 for my brother.
Even though I told you should get him a 14 Pro, but continue.
There's something to be said about the price you pay for a phone and how you evaluate it by that criteria. Your expectations have to be adjusted accordingly. I mean, if the iPhone Pro is not better than a Pixel, we have a problem. You're paying $100 or more for the comparable device. So, you know, like, it has to be better. If it doesn't, it's highway robbery. You're getting played. So I agree. I think that the iPhone is better. I just don't think the Google Pixel 7 at $599, the iPhone 14 at $800, right? It's $200 difference. The iPhone 14 is not $200 better than the Google Pixel 7. It's $100 better. You know what I'm saying?
Well, this is why value is subjective. For some, it is. It is $200 better for some.
All right, so can we maybe get on the same page on this one? The Samsung Galaxy phones are the most overpriced phones in the world.
I can get in on that one.
I don't know. I actually disagree with you on that as well.
What's the 22 Ultra priced at? What's the MSRP?
Samsung S22 Ultra. It's been a minute since I've looked at it. 1100.
It's overpriced.
What?
It's overpriced, man.
You think the Ultra is overpriced?
I think it should be coming in at 1,000. I think it's $100 too much.
Why? The Plus comes in at 1,000.
It's overpriced. It should be $899. I think Samsung is asking too much money for their phones. For how much value they lose, Dennis, it's pretty crazy. I mean, the only reason to ever buy a Galaxy is if you're going to continue to trade them into Samsung and get trade-ins every year. Otherwise, you're better off buying a year-old model and saving like 60% of the money.
I mean, Samsung's been pretty on point though with updates and stuff, man. I mean, you can like if you got a Galaxy S22 Ultra today, you could probably get 3, maybe 4 years out of that phone.
Yeah, and then the cost almost doesn't matter because you're having it for so long.
Well, that's how most people are, though, Sneed. Most people are using their phones for 3 to 4 years before upgrading.
Yeah, if you keep a phone for 3-4 years, I mean, you could pay $2,000 for that phone. If you keep it for 4 years, you're squeezing every little bit out of it. But if you're going annual, sheesh, man, playing that game. Hope you're trading into Samsung to get the new one.
I mean, look, Sneed, I think that the Pixel phone is going to serve a portion of people, but it is niche. You, my friend, are in the niche. You're in the less than 1% of Pixel owners in the United States, and clearly the market has spoken with their dollars that the Pixel is not meeting the broader audience's concerns.
There's a big problem, man. At carriers, the iPhones and the Galaxies are free.
Yeah, but you can listen. I know we had this debate, and I agree with you that is like an issue, like because then it changes the value.
No, it's not an issue. It's good for the consumer if they want Galaxies and iPhones, right?
Well, right, but like I'm talking about issue for Pixel. Like we could talk about like how it's an issue for Pixel because now it changes the value prompt of being free versus free. But the bigger thing here is this: if Pixel was making something that people really wanted, then the cost wouldn't matter. I.e., let's look at AMD for a quick second, okay? If you read reports, the 7000 series launch hasn't actually been doing as well on the low end as people were predicting with like the 7600X CPUs and 7700X, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like the sales have been cold for AMD and slowing down because of all the different factors. But what has been selling super well and is actually sold out pretty much everywhere you look is the premium chip, the 7950X, which is what I have, the 16-core 32-threaded beast. That thing is the most expensive CPU in the stack. There's no discounts. In fact, it's the most expensive platform upgrade possible, and yet it's selling like hotcakes. Clearly, people don't care about cost if they really want something. They will sell a kidney to get it if they have to, right?
Yeah.
So like the thing that I'm getting at here is the Pixel is just meh. It literally has nothing that people are willing to kill over. Like they're not gonna freaking sleep in line to get a Pixel launch, right? It's not like a PlayStation 5 release or a new GPU that people really, really wanted. It's just a meh phone. And if we're talking about meh phone, of course it's gonna be priced cheaper because it has to be. That's what the people have spoken with and said, yeah, I guess for that price, I'm willing to settle for this phone. No one goes out and like says like, oh yes, this is exactly what I wanted. This is more of like, this was my budget. I guess I'm settling. Otherwise, I would have got the quote unquote overpriced flagship Samsung phone or quote unquote overpriced iPhone.
So you don't see anything changing for Google this year?
Hey, nope. Dennis. I said, I go, damn it, I'm going with the Pixel.
Again, niche. You're also the same person that runs Linux as their preferred OS.
Oh yeah, that's what we do, bro. We're into Linux.
You're on Windows, aren't you, Sneed?
I know, but I prefer Linux.
Mm.
When I bought a Chromebook, I put Linux on it, man.
See, Sneed here is a man of refined taste.
The French excellence, Pete.
Listen, like I said, the
Draymond,
Pixel's a fun phone if you want to tweak and install custom ROMs, but it's not a good phone if you want it to be your primary daily driver. And considering that most people have one, maybe two phones max, I don't see where the Pixel falls in.
Dennis, it's my main driver, dog. It's great.
Dennis, it's my main driver. It's great.
Niche.
Oh man, Dennis is
All right,
hitting us
how
with the
about
niche.
this? How about this?
It is
Do
niche, you're right.
Do a poll. Do a poll real quick. Do a poll for the audience.
Wait, Dennis, we're saying you're right. It is niche.
Okay.
We don't need to poll to prove you.
Also,
you're right.
if you're an SMT Discord member, remember your admin in the poll.
Oh snap! We got a super chat, Pete.
Yep, from Santiago Hernandez. I think this is his second one. He says, "My
Santiago.
Pixel 7 Pro did not have a shaky, rattly camera at launch like my iPhone Pro did."
That's random. I wonder if that's just his phone. I didn't notice that on my fifth.
Hey, it might be a feature for half of them.
He's talking about the soft, like the I think it's like Snapchat and a couple other apps were having problems with the new cameras. That was like a software thing that got fixed. It had to do with like the stabilization, like with how the focus worked. That's like a mechanical component. I think he's talking about that.
Lavendi agrees with you, Dennis. He says same thing. Not suitable for a daily driver.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's going with the iPhone. I use it as a daily driver. I don't have any qualms or issues using it as a daily driver. I had the OG Pixel, the 2XL, the 3XL. I had the 4XL. I had the 5. Then I had all those little A series in between. I had the 6 Pro. They've all been my daily drivers. I haven't had trouble at all. I mean, there were updates that had to happen for it to become more refined, but they got better.
I'll put it to you this way, man. I would take a OnePlus over a Pixel.
Seriously? Because of the processor?
It's not because of the processor. It's all around. Like if we're talking about like, first off, OnePluses have pretty fast screens. If we're talking about high refresh rate, but I mean, look, like I'm saying, like because like the main selling point for Pixel is it's cheap. The regular Pixel, not the Pro. It's cheap for what it is on paper, anyway. But OnePluses are also cheap on paper for what they are. I'd rather have the OnePlus over the Pixel.
Good stuff, Dennis. We did good on that, man. We chewed it up a lot.
But we didn't touch on any of the other topics. There was the whole carriers pivoting for old people.
Yeah, you ready to do that one?
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Carriers battle for share among older Americans, according to principal at Wave 7 Research, Jeff Moore, friend of the show. All right, carriers are increasingly making moves to win older Americans. This is a growing demographic group. Carriers have made multiple moves in 2022 to gain these customers. It has also led one national carrier to sue another national carrier. So in regards to it being a growing demographic, it says the number of Americans aged 65 or older is expected to grow from 54 million just a few years ago to 81 million in 2040 and to 97.7 million in 2060, according to the U.S. Census. So T-Mobile, Verizon, and AT&T are looking to better serve with more competitive forces to give them unlimited data plans and include some kind of like a, what should we say, like a senior discount or silver shoe discount, right? AT&T and Verizon banned 92% of seniors from the wireless discounts, according to a T-Mobile press release in August. The Un-carrier has a carrier call-out website where it slams Verizon and AT&T for this issue. A few days after that T-Mobile announcement, AT&T filed a lawsuit against T-Mobile stating that T-Mobile's press release was misleading. The carrier pointed out that it offers various discounts to AARP members. The discounts are clear on AT&T's website. The AARP is the largest organization for older Americans, but it's not the only one, and many older Americans are not AARP members. Consumer Cellular hits high gear as well. They focus on this demographic. You could find them in Walmart locations as well as other retailers like Target and such. So more I guess, branding and advertising marketing strategies, we're starting to see more of the elderly population being targeted and getting advertising pitches to sign up for the unlimited plan from such and such company. I guess I'll just kind of like bring it up this way. How important is the 55 plus demographic to these carriers right now in 2022?
I think that it's super important because those 55 plus people tend to be the decision makers on the big family accounts. And they're also the ones that have the most disposable income. So
That has changed dramatically,
oh,
especially for the Hispanic population. The kids of those 55 plus are the decision makers.
Oh,
So the biggest demographic that's growing, right, in the United States and has the biggest population in the wireless industry because of how many damn kids they have all the time. It's insane, man. Like each Hispanic account on average has 6 lines or more. Like that's huge, man. So you're right if we're talking about the traditional sense, Dennis, aka Caucasian American, Southeastern Conference, those type of folks. Yes. However, because the demographics have changed so drastically in the Southwest and the desert regions, right? The Sun Belt, as you would say, Hispanics are leading the way. And I'm guaranteeing you right now, the same way that the kids are helping buy a car because they have a phone and they're able to shop online and all this other stuff is the same way that they're shopping for cell phone service.
damn.
yeah, but I have a question for you, Moose.
It's like
which customer demographic is more profitable for the carrier, though?
If you look at
On a
This
per
was
gig,
so-
they don't
on,
care.
well, hold on a per gig basis or on just an ARPU?
Let's go with both.
Well, if you look at T-Mobile, they have free lines. So T-Mobile is the fastest growing company simply because they have a free line promotion and hookups of 20% off and all this other freebies, right? They're not as profitable as Verizon and AT&T.
Hey, Moose, did you check out that base unlimited from Verizon?
Dude, that is such a joke, man. Nobody's actually doing it either. But you're
I
right.
mean, 2 free lines if you get 4, and you're hard capped at that rate. So Verizon apparently thinks they might get ahead by giving free stuff away.
So we're getting off topic. I'm asking a straightforward question: which demographic is most profitable based off of per gig data usage, and then based off ARPU, not carrier
Yes.
specific?
The folks that use the least amount of data with the highest plan tier are generally the Caucasians, right? Because they value the perks. They may use the actual like plan features, right? But they don't use that much data because they're always on Wi-Fi.
10
Or they
or 15
are,
gigs a month, maybe.
yeah, probably less than 15 a month. Yeah.
On a per gig basis, they're the most profitable.
Yeah.
Let's talk ARPU. Which, from ARPU standpoint, which demographics most popular?
Well,
most
that's
profitable?
the same answer.
Okay.
Right.
Is it?
But from a quantity standpoint, the reason why T-Mobile has been so successful is because they have targeted the right demographics for their marketing, right? Hispanics, Asians, African Americans. Those are the top 3 demographics in T-Mobile.
All right, so I think this is a little bit nuanced. I think the ARPA, average revenue per account, I think Moose is right. ARPU, I think it's the 55 plus because if you've got 2 lines on an account, they're probably paying, if phones are included, they're probably paying $150 a month. Right? The demographic Moose was talking about before probably has a account cost of like $300, but it's got like 6 lines and 6 phones. Right? So you doubled your revenue on the account, but you quadrupled the number of lines. You went from like 2 to 7. because it's a family. It's a family of like 4 children and two parents or something. So like the ARPA and the ARPU, I guess, are a little bit different. And then on a per gig basis, or per gig usage type of thing, to me that it doesn't even really matter. The carriers don't care if you use 10 gigs or 100 gigs. They just want you paying your bill.
The carriers care. The carriers care.
No, they don't. Like Comcast might care. Charter might care because they're paying per gig because they're on MVNO. But like Verizon has never mentioned anything to me using 200 or 500 gigs in a month. And I've done that dozens of times. AT&T never got a notification. T-Mobile, I never got a notification.
AT&T will definitely give you a notification if you do it on a regular enough basis. And Carlos, if you're still in the chat, you can confirm. Somewhere around 300 gigs, AT&T starts to get a little bit pissy.
Do they?
Yeah.
Oh, damn. Never said anything to me. Maybe if you do it on consecutive months?
Yeah, like I said, consistent enough basis.
Okay. I mean, I've had to use heavy data like that at a necessity on a, I don't know, maybe like 3 times a year. But now that I have like real Wi-Fi and fiber, it doesn't happen anymore. I also have like 7 lines of wireless.
Verizon's going to hate me this month, by the way. Dude, Verizon Fios is going to hate me, dude. I've been just downloading multiple, because, I'm setting up the new PC, multiple terabytes in a very short span of time. Honestly, you know what I should do, Sneed? I should try it. Maybe I should look into getting T-Mobile Home Internet for a minute.
Oh, damn.
What do you think?
So that would be interesting. Are you going to try to do stuff with it, or are you just going to speed test it?
I'll put it through the same stress test that I did for Fios and Comcast when I was doing the no data cap testing to see if they really mean no data cap.
So you're going to go 1020 Tera.
70.
So can we get back to the demographic discussion really quick?
Go ahead, Moose.
I like the question of on a per data or per gig basis, because Dennis was, and I think Sneed or Dennis, I forgot who mentioned it, but that is a critical point, because everybody that I know that is on T-Mobile still does not have a home ISP.
Oh.
They use T-Mobile as their home ISP. And I'm not talking about home internet. I'm literally talking about they don't have a home router.
So they're doing everything on the mobile network.
Exactly. It's straight up from a smartphone tethering, or they don't have anything in their home that requires tethering. Like they don't have an Apple TV. They don't have a console. They're always on the go. They're the ones that on minimum average, right? On average, they're hitting 150 gigs a month, no problem. Right?
Yeah, but here's the thing about the per gig type of situation, Moose.
Yeah.
The carriers would love to take an extra $10 a month from you on your account, even if it means you're going to use an extra 100 gigs of data.
So, Sneed, I'm just going to put something in perspective real quick. The cost for Verizon and MNO to provide a gig of data, like the actual cost of Verizon, like if they have their own backhaul for like a gig of data, is like the 0.0000001 of a penny, like fraction, right? However, the cost for Verizon to make sure that they actually have enough given capacity at a given time is much more expensive. So it's not about the actual gig of data per se, like it's not the whole of the metric. What's more important here is where and when that gig of data is being used. That is what affects Verizon's cost. Because if you have, like, to Moose's point, if you have an area where it's a bunch of, typically this happens in low income situations, but like if it's a low income area where like everybody's using their phones as their everything, it's their ISP, it's their everything, right? that cell set that serving cell is going to be constantly under unusually higher amounts of load than the average cell tower for the given network operator, and as such is going to require an intense amount of investment to either up the backhaul and maintain, or look into adding additional serving cells in the surrounding
splitting cells, exactly.
in the surrounding area, just to support that particular customer. Like, you're not getting any additional revenue. Like, you can make the argument that, like, well, you improved your network and it was going to have to happen anyway, but ultimately you're increasing your operational expenses to support that type of customer base. And considering the constraints that we still have with limited spectrum, 5G deployment, not like still being, as Pete would put it, half baked, mobile networks just aren't there to fulfill that type of usage on a consistent basis. I mean, look no further than T-Mobile's qualms, right? T-Mobile has constantly been on the back foot of, unleashing Pandora's box when it comes to these unlimited data users, to the point where they have had numerous instances where they had to crack down.
Yeah, but add insult to injury, they're doing fixed wireless on the same network now.
Right, and you've seen the impact it's had. Look at Verizon's fixed wireless and look, I was singing my praises about C-band in Pittsburgh, and look what happened. Verizon became a victim to their own success. They sold fixed wireless, good for them. They got their extra revenue, but now the network is literally shit in Pittsburgh again. It's like being on band 6613 all over again.
One of the things I wanted to mention, because you're hitting a really good point. When I was working for T-Mobile back in 2016, there was this concept called hidden traffic, right? We would activate a new macro, right, in an area that there was no macro for probably a mile radius, or even 2 mile, or even 3 mile radius, right? It was like a black hole. It was being served by the sectors much further away. Okay. No joke. This happened every single time. The new macro would go up. The same day, it would become congested. Right? Do you really think that N41 would have saved that situation? Even now, I have gone to LA. I'm going there tomorrow. There are certain areas in LA with multiple N41 sectors looking at an area, and they are still congested to this day with upgraded backhaul, with the upgraded slices of N41. And why? Because we just explained it. There's too many people on a sector using the home internet, using their smartphones as their primary internet at home, regardless. Dude, we are talking about an insane, unsustainable model. No joke. Like that is unsustainable, because the next step, if you don't have a macro to add another sector of N41, right, you're going to need to do CRAN. You need to offload, like Sneed's been saying since day one. You need to offload the traffic, man.
Every chance you get, every opportunity.
And
exactly.
Sneed, I want to run one point home really quick. There is a reason why wireline home internet providers like Comcast and Verizon have been reducing the amount of subscribers on a trunk or node. Like, there is a reason why in DOCSIS 4.0, like, there's multiple reasons, but one of the biggest ones that Comcast wants to go to a node plus zero model and get it down to the point where there's only 16 households per node is for what Moose is touching on right now. Because when you add capacity to an area, data usage also goes up in a very linear fashion. You're not actually, like, quote unquote adding capacity. Like, it's just going to get consumed. So what I'm getting at here is for that argument about, adding $10 on an account or a line or whatever to be able to use more data, it's going to get eaten up by the maintenance costs to actually support that user. Like, if there's one user that's successfully using the cell site, you're almost better off not even having him. Like, there is a reason why if I was to blow up my AT&T unlimited hotspot, AT&T would kick me off.
Well, they do, right? They do.
Even though I have all this speed, right? Like you've seen the speeds of my house,
Yeah.
250 down, 100 up. AT&T would kick me off in a heartbeat because I would ruin the whole network experience for everyone else. Even if they did additional upgrades, I would ruin the whole network experience if I were to just blow it up. So, and that only takes one person. And you're talking about having that happen for multiple accounts.
Yep, they sure do like the older American when it comes to the usage. I mean, they're low data users. I would venture that more than 50% probably use less than 2 gigs a month.
I don't think it's that low, but it's probably less than 5.
So
yeah, I'd say it's less than 5, especially
50% use less than 5 gigs a month.
Yeah, especially I think if you're roaming around using Google Maps all the time, and I don't know, maybe Apple Maps and some
again though, what's
YouTube.
most important isn't the actual amount though. It's about we'll call it the actual bit rate. Like if you're a person that's staying under 1.5 megabits per second for your usage, then you can use as much as your sweetheart desires.
Yeah, so it's basically that's the whole concept behind unlimited is just sip it a little bit at a time and you can have as much as you want. You're just not going to just open up the hose full bore and just let it drain out.
Yep.
Interesting
But
stuff,
Moose,
man.
just curious, man. Going back to the instance real quick when we were talking about macros upgrades to CRAN, what is the cost difference from like putting up a macro to actually putting up a whole CRAN?
Like a build? Are you talking about a build?
Yeah, build
Oh,
wise.
dude, macros. Oh my god.
Okay, so there's 2 different tiers of macros, right? Let's say it's a brand new site, no co-location. You are literally building it from the ground up. There's nothing previously there, right? You're talking about infrastructure costs, electricity, the fiber, conduit, redundancies, right? Potentially. Then either natural gas or a diesel-powered gas generator. Then you need to have a concrete base sit for 6 weeks minimum. So it hardens, and then you have to stress test that concrete base. Then you put up the damn cell site, like the actual pole. Then you have to put up the rack, and then you finally put up the antennas. And oh, by the way, the baseband unit, the BBU, right, and the cabinet, right, and the cabinet needs air conditioning 24 hours a day, right? It needs to be cooled. So we're talking anywhere, depending on the location, anywhere from 150,000 upwards of 350,000. If it's a really complicated, brand new site, nothing there. Now, if it's a co-location, significantly cheaper. I would say the max with all the goodies, I'm talking baseband unit, generator, conduit, your own conduit, not sharing somebody else's, but your own conduit for fiber, your own electricity, 150 to 200,000 max.
And real quick, Moose.
Yeah.
One thing that wasn't discussed here is like how many people in an area have to be a subscriber for a macro to be put in place like that to be justified from a cost standpoint, like to get a return on the investment.
It's a little bit different for macros, Dennis, because they're covering an area for people that drive by or people that live there.
Yeah, I'm not talking about like just for coverage here. Like in this instance, we're talking about adding capacity, right? Like because
a macro for capacity.
Yeah, we're talking about adding capacity.
So there's actually 3 different cases of when you add a macro to an area, right? The traditional sense, you are expanding coverage. So it's a brand new, no coverage there area, right? You're expanding the coverage. That, generally speaking, is a brand new site build. Sometimes you're lucky and there's a co-location, right? The next one would be a capacity upgrade, right? So you're adding capacity to an area.
We're talking like rooftop sites.
Well, no, like it could be rooftop. It could be rooftop,
that's what they typically do here. Like T-Mobile, instead of doing small cells, they do rooftop sites in Cleveland for capacity.
The perfect example would be, let's say, a mall, right? The south side of a mall has a macro, but the north side does not, and there's no DAS inside of the mall. So what they would do is they would see if there's a co-location in the west side, the east side, or the north side to put an additional macro, and the antennas are facing in a slightly different direction, but still penetrating through the mall, because you don't want interference from the south side macro, right? That's the capacity. Now, the third option, which is a little bit crazier, is if you need a macro simply because you have a lease that you can't terminate. I've seen this often where the lease is too expensive to break. It's either high cost rent, they want to break it, right? But the lease is too expensive. So what they do is they remove the low band. They only keep the mid band and high band. And sometimes they even lower it on the actual pole. So the
I've
rack's
seen that,
lower.
Moose. You know what else
Yeah.
I've seen? Extreme down tilt of the lower frequencies.
Yeah,
Extreme,
like actually
like you can like
mechanical.
look up and you can like see that it's pointing almost to the ground.
Yeah. Now, why is that, right? Because like I said,
because of the overlap, it's going to be noisy.
Yeah, noisy, and because the lease is too expensive to break. I mean, like I said, these leases, these contracts that some of these carriers have, and by the way, AT&T does not have, or AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile do not have contracts with those owners, right? The landowners. It's through Crown Castle, SBA,
AT&T owns their
American
sites
Tower.
here.
Well,
generally
AT&T owns sites here.
speaking, most carriers have offloaded their first party owned sites to the third parties. There are certain exceptions though with the carriers, specifically with AT&T, most of all because of the FirstNet deal, where they do have direct contracts with individuals and farmland and stuff, but they're more rare. Continue, Moose.
Yeah. So there's also an interesting thing, because you mentioned FirstNet. I'll give you a fourth version of this. In public, how do I say this? Like in a police station or in a, generally speaking, police stations, fire departments, and public safety offices have like a radio tower, right, on their premise. Because of FirstNet and their right of way to public safety infrastructure, FirstNet has exclusivity putting FirstNet band 14 only antennas on those towers. For example, California Highway Patrol, right? They have several offices, several precincts, or I don't know how you'd want to call them, but they have several places right around in California. In most cases that there's not an AT&T cell site adjacent to that, they add the band 14 radios, antennas, the baseband unit, everything like a regular macro on their radio tower. So
I've seen it.
At the minimum, right, you have coverage around your base, right, of operations, and in your base of operations. They put either a Cell Booster Pro for FirstNet, or if it's big, right, they have to do like a small DAS system. But that's the fourth option to answer your point, Dennis.
And just so we could throw some numbers out here, Moose, tell me if I'm off the mark, but the backhaul, like the cost for like the hardwire, fractions of a penny, right? But end all cost for the actual data to get to you, the consumer, when we consider all things and factored in, range for an MNO would probably be somewhere in the ballpark of 20 cents to like $3 a gig, depending on the various factors. Does that seem like a pretty fair range?
So like you're saying that the actual wireline portion of it is significantly lower than the actual hardware up front, right?
Yeah, basically what I'm saying is like the cost of actually transmitting over the fiber that goes to the cell. That's cheap. That's basically free. The cost was just getting it there, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're right. The run,
But the expensive part comes with everything else. So there's the actual putting up the equipment, and then the actual keeping the equipment running with the power, and then everything else, right? Yes, the rent, everything else, right? The everything else factor. Including like whatever they have to pay for like peak usage if they're not actually using their own backbone and paying some third party. But like anywhere between like 20 cents to like $3. Like that seems like a range to offer a gig of data. Does that seem fair to an MNO from a cost standpoint?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's that. Yeah, you're right. You're probably in the right ballpark because that's why Verizon was able to give, Spectrum Mobile and Xfinity Mobile such cheap rates to offer $19.99, right, per line.
Yeah.
There's no way Verizon is going to be losing money off this deal, right? Because they're trying to wholesale their network out, right? So you're right. They're probably for that $19.99 model. Verizon's probably 25% or less of the cost of $19.99.
Yeah, but Verizon's the only company making money on a Spectrum Mobile customer on wireless.
For now, correct.
Right. But listen, the reason why I brought up that cost range goes back to the earlier discussion, which is the cost per gig and what you were saying, Sneed, of the MNOs don't care about data usage. That's wrong. They definitely do care, especially if it's a situation where it's the $3 per gigabyte cost, because that's very high for them. It doesn't take much for that to eat into their overall profit margin, because now we're just talking about the cost per gig. We're not even talking about the other ancillary parts that come into supporting and maintaining that customer from like a customer support standpoint. I was just talking about the cost offering them that gig of data. And now it starts to become clear why carriers don't want heavy data
but they
users.
built. I'm going to tell you why they don't care about data usage per se. The reason why I know they don't care is because they're doing fixed wireless access.
Hey, could I butt in here? A couple
Absolutely.
super chats. Got $2 from Anwa saying, well. And we got a $20 super chat from Pete Fox going, visited Jimmy John's at a local outlet mall and discovered a new very dense small cell build, 10 in a quarter mile. I didn't see any millimeter wave antennas. Have you seen that type of density before? Great stream as always.
Thanks, Pete and Onward. Appreciate the super chat, guys.
So you were saying they don't care because they have fixed wireless. Continue.
Yeah, but it's time of the day, right? They're like, oh, most of the home internet users are using, 90% of their usage after 6 p.m., right? And then our mobile usage is starting to taper around that time. So, like, okay, this is on our terms. We're willing to sell tons and tons of available data at $50 a month because at this moment in time, the mobile network doesn't demand it. Like, you see how they're playing the timing game? You see what I'm saying?
I'm glad you're bringing that up because I touched on the timing game for a second. So fixed wireless, right? There's something more important here, aside from the time, that's more important to bring up. Fixed wireless is always deprioritized on the network. Mobile consumers are not. Fixed wireless usage for a home internet use case.
Yeah, on T-Mobile, you're right.
Fixed wireless from a home internet use case, though, from a network management standpoint, is also easier to manage. There's a lot more tasks that are more forgiving to network management than mobile use cases, where like most of the things people do on their phone are more latency real-time dependent than raw throughput. Like, how should I phrase this? Like, if you load up a website on a mobile, okay, it is going to need significantly less data because the mobile version of the website isn't going to load up all the things that the desktop client would do, right? And while from a bandwidth standpoint, the home internet connection would need a little bit more to load it up, you can give it the more bandwidth, but also give it less of the latency priority in that significant scenario and still end up with like an equally decent enough outcome as far as experience is concerned. Same thing with like large file downloads, right? Like when you're downloading, like, say, a Steam game update, right? The Steam game update doesn't really care about the ping time like at all. So it can literally just be backfeeding in anytime there's a gap that can fit in that like packet of information. Whereas the audio FaceTime call very much cares about latency and very much cares about the order in which the data is being delivered. Right?
Well, it's the mobile experience. It's the handoff. Like,
yeah,
when you get on EdgeCell and you get on channels that are just not capacitive.
The fixed wireless customer also, side note, is like static. Like, that is going to be the house that's always going to have that customer. The phone customer that is like making this their everything connection is not. Like they're gonna be like you might do upgrades to cover their house on one area, but then they might be doing the same thing at their work and just blowing up your cell sites. So it's like a whack-a-mole trying to facilitate their demand and needs. So
good point, Dennis.
Yeah, I don't know. It's look, I think the TLDR, and I've been saying this consistently since day one, is that the mobile networks that we have today are just that. They're designed for mobile networking. Fixed wireless is a interesting concept in the short term to try to generate revenue for the operators so they continue so they can get a return on their investment for the 5G upgrades and continue to deploy networking. However, I do feel that it is short-sighted in nature because I don't think all the resources they need in play are there yet for them to actually handle the can of worms that comes from the extra demand that gets generated from these subscribers.
So C-RAN and millimeter wave.
Millimeter wave is an important part of the equation, but that infrastructure is not in place.
Hey, John's got a question.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
How much longer do you guys think you're going to be kicking around?
Take us home, Pete.
I'm asking because I feel like I'm dropping.
Well, I think I'll play Overwatch 2 when we're done. Go ahead.
Take us home, Pete.
All right. So that's the show. Let's give shout outs to Super Chats. I remember a couple from Santiago Hernandez. We had Pete Fox. We had Anwar. I think we had Lawrence in there. Did I miss anyone? Green. Sorry about that, Green. We also had Franco Barrera, who retracted it early in the show. What hashtags we doing, boys?
Hashtag 2Live Crew. Hashtag Replay Crew.
Hashtag
Feed the bear.
Telco Buddha. Hashtag Telco Jesus.
Hashtag moose sighting.
I saw in the chat earlier. Hashtag Telco Doggo.
Yes, hashtag Telco Doggo. We need something. We need something for Moose, man. What? Pete, is there anything that would resemble a moose in your mythology or like religion?
Well, damn, man, I wish I knew more about First Nation religions. The difficulty with the moose is it's native to North America.
How about these? We got a couple. Hashtag Tito for Team Pixel. Hashtag Team Pixel. Hashtag Mod Squad. Yeah, we got a little bit of those.
Hey, if I was more into the YouTube, I'd be going Pete for Pixel. We got another $2 super chat from Anwa saying Dennis is actually cable Jesus, to be honest. Hey, the boy's putting money where he thinks it is. How do you feel about that, cable Jesus?
Well, cable is part of telco.
That is.
Yeah. Oh.
By the way, I did want to bring up one thing that we'll definitely be probably talking about it in a later podcast. But dude, Cartoon Network is dead. Warner Media is killing off everything that I hold dear to that company, man. It's not.
Yeah, HBO Max is turning into a shit show. Since
Back up the fucking truck.
Yes.
Damn. Also,
wait. So how am I going to watch Zoidberg in them?
You got my Hulu, Sneed. You got my Hulu.
You ride the Black Seas to preserve the old cartoons that just get canned off of streaming.
No. Sneed, for Zoidberg, got my Hulu.
All right.
Hey, listen, Sneed, I'm going to give you a throwback.
Hold up.
No. This is a throwback. No.
He's paying for me to say this.
Nope. Gotta wait.
Can we get a boost clap?
No.
Boost, clap it.
No. Listen. I'm gonna give you a throwback real quick, Steve, that you should watch if you haven't, and you should show Yasmin if she hasn't seen it. Dexter's Laboratory.
Dexter's Lab, yeah.
That's a throwback cartoon.
NTT, get out to my laboratory.
Dexter's Laboratory, and ooh, I got a good one for you. I don't know if it's Yasmin appropriate, but Ren and Stimpy.
Yeah,
No,
that was a
is
classic
not
back in the day.
Godspeed. But that was Nickelodeon, so it's owned by Viacom, so we might be demonetized by just mentioning them.
How about How about Rocket Power?
So, Sneed, we doing a Patreon live stream sometime this weekend?
Sunday?
How about this? We lament the death of Cartoon Network on that one.
Yeah, we could do it.
If you aren't a member of the Patreon, sign up so you can listen to us cry.
Yeah, and we'll put out the panel link too for the upper tier patrons. They can get involved.
Carlos, what the actual fuck, bro? This is not anime, bro. These are cartoons.
Carlos, you're so stupid. Oh my god, Carlos is crazy.
We love you though. But no, Ren and Stimpy is definitely not anime.
You guys want to do the morning stream like we did the last time? I think it was a late morning show. It was like 10 a.m.
Yeah, I'll wake up for that.
Dennis, you want the link?
I might have a meeting with my master's group, but possibly, sure.
All right, it'll be on Patreon. Both links, the view and also for the upper tier patrons to join us on the panel.
Okay, sounds Gucci. Well, with that being said, everyone, we out this